When it comes to academic excellence, do we have a choice or are we leaving it to chance? Let's hear how Blackville Hilda Public Schools Superintendent Dr. Teresa Pope is leading the way. Next on Education Matters. Welcome inside a new segment of Education Matters. My name is Donna Moore Westby, your host of Education Matters, where we're connecting you to the world of education one step at a time. Thank you so very much for joining us again. Every week the numbers are going higher and higher, and certainly we want those numbers to continue to go in that direction. So make sure you tell your neighbors, your friends, and your family that Education Matters is on. It is certainly our goal to disseminate positive information, not just academia, but anything that increases our overall knowledge and allows us to become a better person. So that's what you'll find here inside of Education Matters. And today's broadcast, we're opening up our coverage area to the Barnwell County area. Want to say hello to those of you from Barnwell and certainly Blackville Hilda Public Schools. If you're watching today, you know we have a very special guest on, and her name is Dr. Teresa Pope. And Dr. Pope is the Superintendent of Education for Barnwell District Schools number 19. And together, we'll talk about how she is leading her organization to excellence by choice and not by chance. And I do believe we have a choice, all right? Well, want to thank the sponsors of Education Matters, and they are the Martial Arts Academy under the direction of Mr. Andrew Blocker. Parents, if you're having a difficult time with your children and they need a little discipline and you need some help with that, I encourage you to check out the Martial Arts Academy. Also, the Barner Group Educational Associates under the direction and leadership of Mr. Reginald Barner. In just a couple of weeks, the Barner Group Educational Associates will be on the broadcast, and you'll learn more about their services. And then Magnolia Medical Center, Dr. Margot Muniz. She too will be on the broadcast very soon. Ladies, if you're having health issues, women's health issues, and you need a doctor who will give you the time that you need, I really encourage you to consider Dr. Muniz. She is fantastic. I go there. My mother also goes there. So if you're looking for a doctor who will give you the attention and not just get your money and send you on your way, you give Dr. Margot a call, all right? Westby's Products and Services, creator of that wonderful seasoning, Dawn Seasoning Delight. Hello to my wonderful husband. And if you missed the broadcast where he was on my program, make sure you go to my website to see that broadcast. It was fun. Miss Cindy had a great time laughing at us, and we're like that all the time. So make sure you go and find out more information about him and that wonderful seasoning. And then I'm going to ring my bell. It's not Word of the Week time just yet, but I am ringing my bell because we have a brand new sponsor to Education Matters, and that is the Will Lou Gray Opportunity School out of West Columbia. And they are definitely saving the lives of so many of our young people in the state of South Carolina. You're going to want to hear more about them. So hopefully in about a week or so, you should start seeing their commercial, okay? So very special thanks to all of our sponsors and then our friends of Education Matters. These are individuals who have pledged a mere $30 a month for at least 3 months to just show that they support Education Matters. And they are, of course, my parents, Isaac and Betty Rucker from Aiken, South Carolina. Also, Reverend T.C. and Robin Edwards of Augusta, Georgia. They are my pastor and first lady, so thanks to you for believing in me. And then finally, Howard and Loretta Bush out of Aiken, South Carolina, longtime friends and church members, so special thanks to all of you. We could not bring you quality programming every week to ASTV without sponsors, so we thank those, and we encourage you to please support those who support us, all right? Well, it's now time for the Education Matters Tip of the Week. Every week inside of Education Matters, I do give you a new tip. Hopefully this will help enrich your life as well as your family. So this week's tip of the week is to help build you and your child's vocabularies. Visit the Education Matters website, and that is edmat.com. And then click on the Word of the Week page. You will see a scrolling list of words of the week. You'll see their definitions, the spelling, and the use of the words. Make sure you study those. And then try to use at least one new word each day, okay? That is not just for your youth, but also for you too, adults, all right? Very good. That is this week's tip of the week. Also, you'll find on my website where you can like me, and that is to join my Facebook family. I have a goal of 100 by the end of the week, so please help me out. Go to Facebook so that you can get periodic updates on what's going on in the world of education, all right? Okay, Miss Cindy, that sound means it's Word of the Week time. Want to give you this week's word of the week, and it is a fun word. Actually, I'm excited about this particular word because I have used it incorrectly. I had been mispronouncing it incorrectly because so many people I was around was mispronouncing it. So I'm glad to bring you this week's word of the week so that we can all learn and grow together. So here it is, lackadaisical. Lackadaisical. And I'll spell that for you. Certainly we don't have any lackadaisical crew members at Education Matters, do we? No, of course not. It is spelled Lackadaisical. Lackadaisical. All right. And it is an adjective, and it means lacking spirit or interest, weak or lacking energy. Also means showing little to no spirit or animation. I don't think this word has ever been used to describe me. But anyway, I'll use that in a sentence for you. We cannot afford to be lackadaisical regarding the problems we face in our country and expect improved results. All right? It just doesn't add up. The formula will not equate, people. In order for us to see changes in our country today, we cannot be lackadaisical, all right? We've got to get up and do some things. And today inside of Education Matters, I have with me a young lady who is certainly not lackadaisical, and that is Dr. Teresa Pope, who is the Superintendent of Education for Barnwell District 19. Dr. Pope, welcome to Education Matters.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, we're delighted to have you. I have always admired you from afar, from a distance. Not only are you an extremely intelligent woman, but your poise and your beauty and the way you carry yourself is an awesome example for me as well as the other young ladies who are growing. And I personally thank you for carrying yourself in such a way.
Well, thank you. I can say the same about you, Donna.
Oh, I don't know. I think my mom wish I were more ladylike like you, but certainly it takes all of us coming together and just being who we are.
That's right.
And exercising our call. And your call definitely is education, because education does matter. Why does education matter, Dr. Pope?
Well, it matters because it's the foundation for our growing up and for what we intend to be as we grow older.
Yes.
And it's a lifetime process. You know, education is what we begin doing when we're born, and it's what we continue to do throughout our lives.
That's right.
And it's always important because it's our strength. We get our strength in what we're going to do and what we become through what we learn and through our experiences and through education.
And those experiences and what we learn does not necessarily mean it has to always come from a textbook. You know,
Right, definitely.
many of the lessons I learned in life that have helped to develop me as the individual I am today have come from my grandparents, from those who may not have had education themselves, but they had wisdom.
Very
And
true.
you know, I think for those of us who are able to be blessed from being educated through going to college and things like that, it is incumbent upon us to certainly encourage academia, but also getting some wisdom that comes from, you know, being around
Right.
the older
From
generation.
what you experience, from the people that
Right.
you intend to be around.
That's right.
And I can always say that my best teacher was always my mother, because I learned more
Oh.
from her than I learned from a textbook or from anybody else.
Yes, yes. And when you bring all of that together, it really helps you as an individual to be able to give back and to be a positive contributor to society. And that's what we're talking about. That's what education does. We call it that great equalizer. And for you, you have been in education a very long time.
34
You
years.
must have started when you were 10 or something like that. But tell us about your background.
Well, I grew up in Aiken County. I still live in Aiken County, and I attended Aiken County Public Schools
Okay.
throughout, and then went on to South Carolina State College and University of South Carolina. I always said that I would go away to work, but came back to work 2 miles from where I was born, actually,
Wow.
in the Area 5 schools, and worked for 27 years in Aiken County.
Okay, all right. And I believe you come from a family of educators. I know you at least had one sibling that I know of, Dr. Lark, that was in
Right. He was
Richmond
superintendent
County,
in Richmond
right?
County for 10
Okay.
years. Right.
Wow, that's wonderful. Definitely underscores that your family appreciates education.
It was something that my mother and father always valued and instilled in us, and I think it was because in Aiken County during the time that they grew up, education for them ended in 8th grade. So for them it was, they wanted us to go as high as we could go.
Right.
And we were fortunate they were able to help us do that.
And you know, Dr. Pope, it is my prayer every Wednesday when we come in and we bring guests like you who have a heart for people and a heart for education, that we will impress upon our youth the importance of education, but also our adults, and how critical it is that they support education and that they encourage their young people to excel. You've seen a lot over the years. What do you believe will help us as a society, as a country, to get back to where education was? We saw it as a priority, but certainly as a way of survival.
I think it's important that we make sure we involve parents and community leaders and community members in the education process, and make sure that parents realize that it doesn't stop when they drop the children off at the door.
Amen.
It's important what we do inside the school building, but it's also important what they do outside.
Yes.
And it's important that they come in and stress to their children how important it is, because it helps us to do a better job. When children know that their parents value education, then they're more likely to be successful in school. When parents are involved in their child's education, research shows that the children are more likely to be successful when their parents are actually there. It doesn't mean that the parent has to be in the classroom with the child. It's just that if the parent comes in and volunteers, and the child will say, well, my parents really think this is important. And it causes them to be more alert as to what they're doing during the daytime.
That's right.
In school.
That's right. It's good to hear you say this. You are the leader, and we're going to show our very first slide. You are the leader of a district, public schools. And give us a little bit of demographical information about your school district.
Well, my school district is one of the smallest school districts in South Carolina. but we're one of the strongest in that we're like a family.
Yes.
The churches are very strong, and they believe in supporting the school. The community is very alert as to what we need, and we're fortunate that our mayor is also employed in our school district. So we talk a lot about what the school can do to support the community and what the community can do to support the school. So we work as a partnership, and that strengthens us. So I would say that the strength of our small district is that we know each other, we know the strengths, and we know what we each can contribute, and we always support each other, and that's very important.
It is. Speaking of partnership, it definitely starts early with our children, and you have in Blackville Hilda a partnership with Aiken Barnwell Head Start. Tell us about that.
Well, the Aiken County Aiken Barnwell Head Start uses our elementary school to house their children, and they actually are in the building. So when the children leave Head Start, they're familiar with the elementary school because they've been there for a year or two already. And it's a good partnership. Shady Hall and I are on some committees together with Aiken Barnwell Head Start and with our First Steps program. So we collaborate a lot as to what we can do to get the children ready for school, which is very important. When they enter school and they're ready for school, they're ready to start, then we're likely to be able to do a lot once they get there. It prepares them for what school is like.
Yes. What would you say to parents who have not placed their child in a Head Start program but have them going to daycares that possibly may be a little bit, I don't know, more convenient for the parent to get the child to? What are the advantages of Head Start?
Daycares are like Head Starts. If you can pick a daycare that really provides a good educational opportunity for the child and gives them a good start. But with the Head Start program, it's more of a school setting.
Yes.
And they get to know how to engage in conversation and be with their peers that are their age. So it's not a shock for them when they enter 5K and they're surrounding the classroom with two adults and other children.
Right.
They've experienced that before, so it's not a shock for them.
And it also helps with their socialization skills.
Very much so.
You know, if you ever have witnessed children out in public and they're out in stores and they're just having fits and not quite knowing how to interact with other children, chances are it's because they
haven't had that experience of being with other children.
I have looked at your strategic plan, in a sense, for Blackville Hilda, and your slogan is, and I love this slogan, excellence by choice, not by chance. Explain that for us.
Well, we make choices every day. We make choices every minute. And what we focused on in our school district is the motto that's been there since the school district originally, and that is excellence. And we strive for excellence in everything we do. And with that as being our theme, we know that it's not just by chance that we achieve what we achieve, but it's the choices that we make every day to do the best we can for our children where they are and try to force them or move them to where they need to be.
Right. And it is definitely a motivation, and one that is serious. It's very, very challenging, and I think every school district is battling with some of the same issues, but certainly it must start from the top. And with you as a leader that recognizes that, then I guess the next level down would be teachers, is having teachers that are going to be motivated to recognize, of course, the necessity of providing these children what they need, but also being able to relate to children, because that has a very important aspect.
The relationship that the teacher has with the child is very important, and that relationship has to be led with their belief that children can achieve, and they have to have high expectations, because children will rise to the level that you expect.
Yes.
If you come in saying this is what you can do, and we don't let them stretch their minds to what other possibilities there are, then we'll only get a little progress.
That's right.
But if we allow them to feel that, hey, we're not going to accept just your work, we're going to expect your best,
right,
then we get what we expect.
And that is an amen. I'm going to shout amen, and I don't think people realize how crucial that is to a child's success. If they feel as if you believe in them,
Right.
no matter the home situation they're coming from, whether it's single parent home or two parent home, or what the economic situation is, if that child walks into that classroom, or even if they have parents who say, you can do this, and I'm believing in you,
Right.
and I'm going to hold you to that.
No excuses.
No excuses, then they're going to rise to that
They'll
level.
rise to the level that you expect.
About a year or so ago, Dr. Pope, you were on my radio broadcast, and one of the things you said to me when you first got this job has always stuck with me, and it really helped me to respect you even more, is you said that when you first took that job, one of the very first things you did was get in a vehicle, and I believe you took some of your teachers with you at the time, if I'm not mistaken, but you rode through the neighborhood so that you could get an idea of what you all were going to be faced with.
Actually, took a bus trip, and we had one of our bus drivers who was very familiar with all the bus routes, with where every location is to carry us around. And it was something I think that was the vision of our elementary principal at the time, Miss Reed. Her group wanted to go. And it was good to get the staff to see where the children came from. Not that we're using excuses and say that this is a reason that they can't succeed, but we needed to know them and be able to relate to them and what their needs were before we'd be able to teach them and reach them. So it was important for us to see just where they lived, how long the bus trips were, so we'd know how long they had to be on the bus before they got to school, and to be able to understand and relate to them. So that was the reason for the bus trip.
And that was amazing to me. It showed quite, it was very insightful that you would have the vision, or that the vision was there to do that, because when we talk about your first goal, which is student achievement, academic excellence, to improve instruction by providing assistance, guidance, and support for teachers in covering the standards at each level with the rigor needed to ensure student achievement, it is ridiculous for us to expect our students to achieve when they're bringing a lot of the baggage that they're bringing, and they come to that classroom and no one cares.
And that's important, because they need to know that you care.
Yeah.
And I found that to be one of the strengths in the small district too. The principals, the teachers, we all get to know the children, and we all get to let them know that we care about them. And when we see one that's struggling, then we recognize that. Then we can call the parent, we can go to the home, and we can find out what we can do to help.
Right.
So it's important that they know that we care so much about them personally, and we care about their education.
Just to further underscore the point, we have a few, I want to show, just before we go to the break, a few of the slides that kind of depict the family atmosphere that you have there in Blackville Hilda. This next slide is where the State Teacher of the Year paid a visit, I believe, to you and your staff. And that's always good. What does the State Teacher of the Year bring to the family?
Well, what she shared with us was her belief in education and how she changed her focus and decided that she wanted to be an educator. And she did a motivational talk with our staff. And in this picture, you see one of our board members, Zinell Waring, and our curriculum facilitator, Ms. Tanya James, who's a former Teacher of the Year, and met Kelly Nally, who's the State Teacher of the Year, and asked her to come to our district. And it was good for the teachers to hear from another teacher.
Yes.
Just how she was touched as a student and how she became more motivated as a teacher to show the students that she cared and that she really loved what she did. And putting that love and passion for education into what she does every day is what makes the difference.
Love and passion is exactly what makes the difference. And in order to lead a district to excellence by choice and not by chance is exactly what it's going to take. And Dr. Teresa Pope, who is the superintendent of Blackville Hilda Public Schools, is here to tell us just how she's leading her district in that direction. So after we hear from our sponsors, we'll continue that very same discussion. This is Donna Moore Westby. We'll be right back.
Total Women's Health Care means treating the women physically, emotionally, and everything in between. At Magnolia Medical Women's Center, we treat and diagnose common and unusual medical problems related to female health. Magnolia Medical Center is a premium high-level obstetrics and gynecology clinic for women of all ages. Our clients receive the time they deserve without feeling rushed and unimportant. We are located in the Aiken Medical Center, 410 University Parkway in Aiken, Suite 2300. Call us today at 803-649-6366.
Does your child or grandchild need help in reading or math, or can benefit from preparatory coursework for the HSAP, ACT, or SAT? If so, contact the Barner Group Educational Associates. Our staff specializes in formatting an individualized approach to assisting your child academically. We offer low-cost tutorial services and educational programs. Participants may qualify for free services. To learn more, call for Alicia Cuthbertson of the Barner Group Educational Associates, 1-888-TBG-3996.
When it comes to grilling, I'm the man. Using Dawn Seasoning Delight, I'm the grill master.
My seasoning is available at Kroger, Bilo, Food Line, Reeds, and Harvest. Look for it on display in the meat department. Also visit seasoningdelight.com for information and recipes. Dawn Seasoning Delight. It's so good.
Dawn Seasoning Delight is so good.
Is your child struggling in school or need tutoring to get caught up? Or maybe your child needs help preparing for standardized exams. Next time on Education Matters, we'll introduce you to the Barner Group Educational Associates, just one of the many providers of supplemental educational services. See if you qualify in these free services next time on Education Matters with Donna Moore Westby, right here on ASTV Channel 95.
Need positive and constructive after-school activities for your children? Call the Martial Arts Academy in Aiken under the direction of International Olympic trainer Andrew Blocker. The Martial Arts Academy offers an award-winning approach to teaching Taekwondo. It's an effective approach to instilling discipline. The Martial Arts Academy also offers self-defense and fitness classes for all ages. Enroll today in this affordable program by calling 803-642-5723 or visit the studio at 2398 Whiskey Road in Aiken. The Martial Arts Academy, positively changing the lives of youth and adults.
I lead a busy life, but I still have to make sure my family eats right. And everybody loves Dawn's Seasoning Delight. I use Dawn's on meats and vegetables. It's healthy, tastes great, and it's simple to use. It's like having a chef in a bottle.
My seasoning is available at Kroger, Bilo, Food Line, Reeds, and Harvest. Look for it on display in the meat department. Also visit seasoningdelight.com for information and recipes. Dawn Seasoning Delight. It's so good.
If you are interested in becoming an individual or corporate sponsor of Education Matters, or to receive sponsorship information, call Donna Moore Westby at 803-507-6793, or you can send an email to dwesby@edmat.com.
Welcome back inside of Education Matters. My name is Donna Moore Westby, your host of Education Matters, where we're connecting you to the world of education one step at a time. Yes, I'm smiling. I'm smiling because here in the studio with me is a woman I truly admire. I admire her for her passion for children and for education, but I also admire her for the model she is for our young ladies and even some of our ladies who just need to get it together, and that is Dr. Teresa Pope. Dr. Pope is the Superintendent of Education for the Blackville Hilda Public Schools. That is Barnwell District 19. So if you're watching over there, we say hello to you. Thank you for watching, and your superintendent is doing a wonderful job. Would you agree? Of course you would. Well, Dr. Pope, again, welcome into the studio, and we thank you for sharing your time with us today. And essentially, we're just having a conversation to get to know you, but also having a philosophical discussion about education. I believe many people don't realize how complex it is to educate a child. And I certainly didn't realize the depth in which every single thing matters until joining the Board of Education myself. So how is it that you put together a strategic plan or a vision to help lead your district to excellence?
Well, the first thing in any plan is to assess your needs. And so we do that by looking at what we have, what we'd like to have, and determining where we need to go in order to get there. So we do a self-evaluation. We look at our facilities, we look at our data from our test scores, develop a plan that will carry us where we need to be.
Okay, and in looking at that plan, we're going to continue our discussion about your goals, and one of those goals we alluded to, of course, was student achievement, and then teacher and administrator quality. Of course, the success of any school district is a direct correlation to how well their teachers are prepared and engaged in the process of curriculum development, and then, of course, how they then translate all of that knowledge into activities that are going to have the children engaged, and it really boils down to the effectiveness of teachers.
Teacher. That's the most important component, and one of our goals this year is to work with our teachers to provide professional development and also do things to let them know how much we appreciate them and want them to feel good about being in Black-Bay-Hilda Public Schools. And we do things with them and for them so that we can retain them. We want our good teachers to stay with us, so we spend a lot of time doing things to make them feel special.
I like this particular photo right here. I know some of my most memorable teachers have been those teachers that we may have said were a little crazy, but it was just that they kept it interesting.
Right. This is celebrating Dr. Seuss, and the teacher's actually reading a Dr. Seuss book to the children and wearing the hat to get their attention.
Yeah, yeah. And the photo before, there was your 2010 Teacher of the Year, Miss Linda Fennell,
right.
Linda Fennell.
And she's now currently serving as our Teacher Forum Chair.
Wonderful.
We invite all of our Teachers of the Year, former Teachers of the Year, to join us in what we have as a Teacher Forum. And they meet once a month, and I meet with them, and they bring ideas from their school. Sometimes it's suggestions, concerns, activities, and things that we can do to improve student achievement. And she's doing a wonderful job. She's had 2 meetings so far this year, and we had one this week where ideas were brought in for things that we can do for American Education Week. And throughout the year, we have the Teacher Forum sponsors a Denim Day activity where they raise money for scholarships, and that way we encourage our students to become teachers.
That's good.
So they were successful in getting a $1,000 scholarship last school year for one of our students who is attending college to become a teacher.
Wonderful. Now, this is what a question that I've often had in my mind. As a superintendent, your job, of course, is to oversee the entire district, to administer the vision, and to ensure that your staff, everybody underneath you that works in that school district, follows along with the vision that is set forth. How do you deal with teachers who have been teachers for a very long time and have become lackadaisical and then no longer have the zeal for teaching today's child? Because today's child is very much different than when I was in school, when you were in school, and some of our viewers.
Well, the most important thing is getting a leader for that school, and we have leaders in our school who are focused on student achievement, and they do a good job of going in and doing observations and giving teachers feedback of things that they can do to improve. And we also make sure that teachers focus on things like using all the technology that we have in the school. I go in like at least twice a week and check for student engagement and use of technology. Our curriculum facilitator and our director of special programs, they will do observations and share their observations with the principals. But the most important thing is that we give teachers the opportunity to improve by letting them know what we see as their need and then helping them to make any changes they might need to make.
I know there has been discussion by citizens in our area that is viewed as giving teachers who are on improvement plans too much time to improve, because during that period, whether it's 6 months to a year, are we really putting our children at harm's way during that time that that teacher is trying to improve? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I wouldn't say that we would give 6 months to a year to improve. We're in there helping them to improve.
Okay.
So it's not that we say this is what you need to do and we'll come back 6 months later.
Okay.
We're constantly there, and because our schools are not large schools, our principals are encouraged to be in the classrooms weekly. If a teacher needs special assistance, then we have the curriculum facilitator who can go in and assist the principal to make sure that teacher can see model lessons and to have immediate feedback. So improvement is not something that we measure month by month. It's a daily struggle to make sure that no time is lost.
Yes, and that no child is left
No
out
child
or
is
behind.
left
That's
out.
good. You mentioned technology, and we are just in the technology age. I mean, it's just amazing to me nowadays. You think that you're coming up to the 21st century. Well, actually, you're already behind. Even my little BlackBerry, you know, the things that have already been thought of is just, it's phenomenal to me.
Right.
So when we talk about technology in our schools, we have to have it, and we have to view it as preparing our children for this global society.
Well, students have changed, education has changed, and no longer can you have the roles of students sitting and listening to a lecture. You have to engage them, and one of the ways that we can engage them effectively is through the effective use of technology.
Yes.
And we have a technology coach who trains teachers on how to use the technology. This is one of our principals, Ms. Teresa Reed, who's also demonstrating how to use technology in the classroom. And we try to make sure that all the technology that we use, and we use a lot of it, that it's used effectively. And our teachers help each other. They demonstrate for each other how to use technology. And we even have, in our schools, we have pictures of how it's used effectively in the school.
Yes, that's good. That's
students
good.
need that because they have to be alert and engaged in the textbook, and the lectures are no longer what they're looking for because that's not what they're accustomed to anymore.
That's right. You know, I want you to respond to something. I was in a meeting once recently, and there was a teacher who was complimenting himself on teaching the old school way. He wasn't so much gung-ho, if you will, on all of this technology. And he felt like he was very effective, which in a sense, when you looked at the test scores of his students, he was very effective. But is that the right, would you say that is the most productive attitude, that, well, I've been a good teacher, I get results, so there's no need for technology?
You constantly have to change. You can't always do things the same way you've done them. One of the things I enjoy doing, because at one time I was an elementary teacher, I enjoy going in and reading stories. Well, last year I was challenged by the technology coach and the principal to read my stories using technology. So now I go in with the big screen and you know, PowerPoint, and the students see the pictures, and they like that better. So the results that that person is getting from using the old techniques might be good, but just imagine what they would be if he tried the new techniques.
Right.
So you never know unless you try.
And we still have to be mindful that these young people are going into a world where technology is ever present. So it's more than just ensuring that they're learning your lesson for the day or for that year, but also preparing them for the world of work, preparing them for the next phase after they get out of school.
That's so true, because it's not going to be just the facts they learn. They're going to have to actually use that material and that technology that we're exposing them to. They're going to have to know how to use that.
Speaking of technology, and we've been just kind of going through a few visuals here. This particular, James, go back to that one here, represents the 21st century after school program that you have. Is that a federal federally funded grant
It's
program?
a grant that we wrote for a 21st century program to work with students in 5th through 11th grade in our district.
Okay.
And this picture is actually one of a computer lab, and actually facilitating that is our technology coach. She works 2 afternoons a week with students using technology.
Okay.
And this is one of her classes.
All right. James, I'm going to ask you to go back to the photo just before this one, because it demonstrates one of your students utilizing what you call the Promethean board. Is that the same as a smart board?
It's the same as a smart board, and this is the model that we use in our district. We have one of these in every classroom in our district, including our band room. I think we have a new art program, and we have to get one for that classroom in our high school, but our rooms are set up to use these, and students get more visual and hands-on from this. This replaces what was the blackboard, chalkboard.
So no more chalk and chalk dust and coughing and sneezing.
Every now and then you might see one used to write the objective or the standard, but our students use these and it engages them in learning.
So
they're interactive.
So explain how this actually works.
Well, they can do almost anything.
Okay.
In this picture, you know, of course, there's a map that you can barely see, but the person can actually go and look at the map and write on the Promethean board.
Wow.
And it's more of a way of not just, it's a visual, but it's also hands-on and interactive at the same time.
Visual and hands-on. And when we talk about keeping the students of today engaged in the process of learning, wanting to stay in school, keeping those graduation rates up and the dropout rates low, we have to look at meeting the needs of every child. And that requires us sometimes, Dr. Pope, to do things differently and be open to change. After we hear from our sponsors, we'll continue our discussion on the variety of teaching approaches that Blackville Hilda schools have in place. And then we'll also talk about the importance of community as it relates to building a district that is set up for excellence by choice and not by chance. After a few words from our sponsors, we'll be right back. Don't change that dial.
I lead a busy life, but I still have to make sure my family eats right. And everybody loves Dawn's Seasoning Delight. I use Dawn's on meats and vegetables. It's healthy, tastes great, and it's simple to use. It's like having a chef in a bottle.
My seasoning is available at Kroger, Bilo, Food Line Reads and Harvest. Look for it on display in the meat department. Also visit seasoningdelight.com for information and recipes. Don's Seasoning Delight. It's so good.
Need positive and constructive after-school activities for your children? Call the Martial Arts Academy in Aiken under the direction of International Olympic trainer Andrew Blocker. The Martial Arts Academy offers an award-winning approach to teaching Taekwondo. It's an effective approach to instilling discipline. The Martial Arts Academy also offers self-defense and fitness classes for all ages. Enroll today in this affordable program by calling 803-642-5723 or visit the studio at 2398 Whiskey Road in Aiken. The Martial Arts Academy, positively changing the lives of youth and adults.
Total Women's Health Care means treating the women physically, emotionally, and everything in between. At Magnolia Medical Women's Center, we treat and diagnose common and unusual medical problems related to female health. Magnolia Medical Center is a premium high-level obstetrics and gynecology clinic for women of all ages. Our clients receive the time they deserve without feeling rushed and unimportant. We are located in the Aiken Medical Center, 410 University Parkway in Aiken, Suite 2300. Call us today at 803-649-6366.
When it come to grilling, I'm the man. Using Dawn Seasoning Delight, I'm the grill master.
My seasoning is available at Kroger, Bilo, Food Line Reads and Harvest. Look for it on display in the meat department. Also visit seasoningdelight.com for information and recipes. Dawn's Seasoning Delight. It's so good.
Dawn's Seasoning Delight is so good.
Does your child or grandchild need help in reading or math, or can benefit from preparatory coursework for the HSAP, ACT, or SAT? If so, contact the Barner Group Educational Associates. Our staff specializes in formatting an individualized approach to assisting your child academically. We offer low-cost tutorial services and educational programs. Participants may qualify for free services. To learn more, call for Alicia Cuthbertson of the Barner Group Educational Associates, 1-888-TBG-3996.
If you are interested in becoming an individual or corporate sponsor of Education Matters, or to receive sponsorship information, call Donna Moore Wesby at 803-507-6793, or you can send an email to dwesby@edmat.com.
Welcome back inside of Education Matters. My name is Donna Moore Westby, your host, and we're connecting you to the world of education one step at a time. Here in the studio with me is Dr. Teresa Pope, Superintendent of Education for Blackville-Hilda Public Schools. And Blackville-Hilda is a relatively small town, right?
Right.
But big hearts.
Two small towns, Blackville and Hilda.
Okay, Blackville and Hilda. I ran it all together, Blackville, Hilda. Blackville and Hilda. Wonderful. Now, with those being small towns, obviously you have challenges in trying to educate, particularly when there may be conditions of high free and reduced lunch recipients in your district. But of course, the need does not go away to educate these students. How are you able to balance the economic situation of many of the families in your area and still achieve excellence?
Well, we're blessed with the fact that we always try to pull in resources whenever we can in terms of grants, federal money, whatever the state funding. We use that as wisely as we can.
Mm-hmm.
We try to make sure that our children receive all the benefits that any other child might receive regardless of where they live, because we know what their needs are and we just have to prioritize.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have as much as we'd like, but what we do have, we make sure that we make the most of it.
What are your thoughts on funding and the way that schools are funded in South Carolina?
I've always felt that the funding should be changed.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should be based more on equity, based on what the needs are, and not equal, based on giving everybody the same thing, because there are some areas that need more. We're in a small town and we are trying to bring more businesses in, but we don't have a lot now, and that's one of the reasons that our funding is not as great as larger districts, is because we don't have the extra resources. There are some districts that are large and able to provide supplements for their teachers in terms of their salary.
Right.
We're not in that mode. And that was one of the reasons that we tried to put some other things in place to retain our teachers, because it's really hard to get quality teachers to come to an area where we don't have as much to offer as large towns.
Right.
But we're close to Aiken, we're close to Orangeburg, we're close to Barnwell, and we're close to Columbia. So we tell our teachers that when they come to us seeking employment, that even though we don't have much in our town, there are places nearby.
Well, and you've hit on a very relevant point, and that's why the community support and involvement is integral, particularly for districts that are small, such as Barnwell District 19 and the Blackville-Hilda area. And we're going to talk a little bit more in a moment about the community support. I wanted to go back, though. We were talking about technology and how critical it is to invest in technology in our schools. Are you finding that during these times where budgets are cutting and shrinking and money is sometimes very difficult to come by, has this impacted your technology budget?
Well, I'm happy that we made sure that we got as much as we could when we were able to.
All right, that's smart.
we
Get
had,
it while it gets
we
good.
had E-rate funding, and we had building fund money that we were able to use, and we were able to do bond refinancing.
Mm-hmm.
So we had as much as we could when we could. So we're in pretty good shape right now.
That's wonderful.
We've finished a 5-year facility plan and completed almost everything on that list, and getting ready to do another 5-year facility plan. And we were proactive in trying to make sure that we use the resources while they were there, but we're still tapping into any resources we can find.
That's good. That's very smart. And it's wonderful to hear that obviously the community must see the value and the need in order for you to be able to go through your facility plan, because in all of our schools it would be virtually impossible for us to maintain the schools that we have with your cyclic maintenance and the few renovations, let alone building new schools, without the community's buy-in through taxes that come from bond referendums, approval of bond referendums. So that's good that you're making it through your facility.
We were getting ready to do the bond refinance, and it was very helpful to have a PLUS committee, which we call PLUS. It's Parents and Leaders United for Success, to talk to them about our needs so that we would be able to apply for that and get it, because we needed to have our roofs repaired, and we were able to do all of that. We need to have carpet, painting, flooring.
Yeah.
Our schools look great. I'm really proud of that.
In addition to the schools looking great, I'm sure it adds a boost to morale of your teachers and your students. What would you have to say to those who say buildings don't educate children? We don't have to have the best buildings in order for our children to be well educated.
School climate does matter.
School climate.
When you walk into a place and it looks good and it feels good, then you're going to do a better job. No one wants to come into a building where the roof is leaking and there are buckets everywhere. No one wants to have a place that the paint's peeling off the walls or the doors don't look right. Everybody, whether they realize it or not, feels good when they're surrounded by things that look good.
And when you look good, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you smile, just like you know when you're looking good, and it's going to show.
Right.
And that school climate, staff morale, and parental involvement ties in to your strategic plan as goal number 3. And all of that comes together when you're trying to lead your organization down a path of excellence by choice not by chance. All right, very good. Now, in your district, we briefly talked about the variety of teaching approaches, and I want to show, James, let's pick back up. Children learn in different ways, and we've got some hands-on activities there. But you also have, in the next visual, we also have to respond to those students who are talented and gifted. We can't forget about those who need help. So how do you strike that balance?
Well, we try to make sure that we provide for the needs of all the children, and we do have children who excel and who will become bored if we don't challenge them. And this is an example of one of our tag classes, Talented and Gifted, where a student is working on a project and needs very little supervision or guidance, but just needs the supplies to say, hey, I can do this.
That's right.
And that's finding out that that child has that strength and building on that.
Very good, excellent. And right now, September is, and we're going to skip this next slide and go to the very next one. September, Dr. Pope, is a Childhood Obesity Awareness Month. And on my broadcast last week, I had a gentleman who did an excellent job of helping us understand the epidemic. Certainly, fast food and those foods that aren't good for us, but they taste good, oftentimes are more economical. As a leader of a school district that is, of course, your customer are children, and you're in an area where there's a low socioeconomic ratio, are you finding that the school is having to do more education on healthy eating or programs to help the parents understand how a healthy mind, a child with a healthy mind and healthy eating habits can help them learn better?
Well, we do that through our school food service director has come in to share with our parents about the importance of nutrition, because we have our students sometimes go home and say, I don't like what the cafeteria is serving. So we have to educate them and educate our parents about the importance of a well-balanced diet. And we also do fun and fitness, not just for the students but for the staff as well, to let them know that it's important to get up and move.
Yes.
I've done hula hoop demonstrations, I've done Zumba, I've done line dances. We know the value of exercise and staying healthy and having good health habits, because if you're not healthy, then you can't accomplish what you want to accomplish. That has to be there.
That
the
has
health
to be
piece
there.
is very important.
And what else has to be there is that community support, as we've alluded to earlier. I see here in your district that Savannah Riverside supports your children coming on to the site and doing field trips and things like that. Talk about the importance of community support.
Well, and we just had an event that was a community supported event where we're trying to have a first tee program for golf in our school district. And it teaches the core values. And being a formal guidance counselor, it's important to me that children know what's important and that they have good morals and good values. And we recently had an activity supported by the community where we had Robert O'Collins, who was a former graduate of Blackville High School, and he came out and allowed us to use his cars. We had a car show. We had a longest drive contest.
There he is right there.
And he actually built the driving range on the course, even though he built the course himself in 1964. He donated the golf course to the public schools, so we're one of the only districts in South Carolina, maybe the United States, with our own golf course.
Wow.
And last summer he came out and put in a driving range.
My goodness.
So in this picture what you see is our dedicating the driving range to him. It's the Robert O'Collins driving range.
Excellent.
And we did that on September 10th.
And I believe we all recognize this next individual, and that is Mr. Weldon Wyatt. What has he done to assist your school district?
Well, it was really hard for someone to come in who'd never played golf and be told as a superintendent, we have a golf course. And I didn't know anything about the game of golf, although I did do research on the First Tee program. And Weldon Wyatt is on the executive board of First Tee. And he met with me and talked to me about that program. He has allowed our students in the after-school program to visit Sage Valley and to see what an actual golf course looks like and how the game of golf is played. And we, this past summer, put in a chipping and driving range, and we dedicated that to Weldon Wyatt.
That's awesome.
Because of his support.
That's
and
awesome.
This picture shows some of our students who are actually playing golf.
And I love this next visual because it shows that the children are winners. And
these are our winners.
Yes, and you there supporting them further underscores that in order for our children to succeed, that it takes a huge partnership of the parent, the community, the educators, and certainly that student as well, all coming together with the same goal in mind, and that is academic achievement, academic excellence.
Excellence, you're right.
What would you have to say to those individuals watching today who don't have children in schools currently and can be somewhat critical of public education?
Public education to me is probably the cornerstone of society because we have to educate our children in order for them to make correct decisions and for them to make the right choices. I know that there are charter schools and private schools, but my love is public education because it's open for everyone. And in some areas there is no choice, there's only the public school. So it's important that we support that school because if our children are not given the opportunity to get an education, then they won't be able to have a successful life and to make the right choices in order for them to end up being productive citizens, and that's what we want for all of our children.
That's exactly what we want for all of our children, and it is our prayer that you will want the same. Dr. Pope, thank you for your time. Thank you for your leadership, and we wish you continued success as you lead your district on a path of excellence by choice and not by chance.
Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, next time we'll see you right here, same place, same time. My name is Donna Moore Westby, your host of Education Matters, where we're connecting you to the world of education one step at a time. Have a great day.